Hi wine friends, and happy Wine Wednesday. If you are new, I'm Ellie from A Glass After Work. Thanks for joining. So today I'm going to share with you two different Beaujolais Nouveau. I know in last week's video I mentioned that I was going to do the Frescobaldi Alley this week. That's going to be next week. Sorry about the confusion, but better to do the Beaujolais Nouveau since last Thursday was Beaujolais Nouveau Day. If you're not familiar with Beaujolais Nouveau, it is 100% Gamay grape from the Beaujolais region in France. It's a light, fresh, and fruity wine. You can definitely serve it a little bit chilled, even though it's a red wine. And what's really interesting about it is that it is a wine that is super young. So from the time that it is harvested, fermented, bottled, and open, we're talking about 6 to 8 weeks. So super, super young wine. Now, I know that serious wine drinkers are often not into the Beaujolais Nouveau. They talk about it not being very good wine, that it's all about marketing hype and isn't about quality. And that might be true to some extent. I'm not going to say it's not. However, for me, it is about the start of the holiday season. The Beaujolais Nouveau come out on the third Thursday of November, so this past Thursday, and it kicks off US Thanksgiving and Hanukkah and Christmas and New Year's and these wonderful kind of celebrations with really good food. And the truth is the Beaujolais Nouveau goes really well with all of the food that you eat during these times. So I love it. It's happy, it's festive, I enjoy it. I fall into the marketing ploy. You know what? I don't even care. So what? It's still fun. So why don't we take a look at the two Beaujolais Nouveau that I've got. First up is the Georges Dubouef Beaujolais Nouveau. It's just the regular one. There's been about 80,000 cases of this Beaujolais Nouveau made. Now, they run an art contest to pick the label. For some reason, my label is not the well-known one for this year. I got my bottle for $13 in Whole Foods and it's a different label, but it is this vintage and it is, you know, another label that won an art contest. It's just not the one that you'll see in a lot of other stores. It's the same wine though. And of course, it wouldn't be Thanksgiving without my Simply Charmed Turkey magnetic wine charm on my glass. And then taking a look at this wine, it is super, super purple. Pretty dark and purple. Nice and clear though. And I am already getting fruity notes all the way this far from the glass. Oh yeah, whew. Okay, so lots of black cherry, lots of kind of raspberry jam. I'm also getting some orange zest in there, maybe a little bit of rose petals. It's not very complex, but there are some really strong fruit aromas coming out there. All right, why don't we give it a taste? Cheers. Yeah, so very light in the tannins. I would say kind of in that lighter to medium body. It's got really good acidity. I'm just salivating after taking that sip. Lots of those black cherry notes. A little bit of kind of cola-ness to it. Might be just that it's so fruity that it has a little bit of sweetness with that fruit. Definitely some raspberry jam. I feel like the orange zest, maybe it's more like a little bit of like candied orange rind. So there's definitely a sweetness to it, even though it's not a sweet wine. I think it's just because it's so young and fruity that it comes off as being sweet. I also would say that there's some cranberries on here. It's fun. It's not a serious wine. It's really enjoyable. $13, super drinkable. Why don't we check out the other Beaujolais Nouveau? This Beaujolais Nouveau comes from a much smaller producer, Domaine Descroix, and they actually sell most of their fruit to larger producers, but they do make this Beaujolais Nouveau themselves. Their property is only about 27 acres. I got this bottle from a local wine store decanter here in DC, and it was also $13. So I think if you're paying about $10 to $13 for the Beaujolais Nouveaux, that's probably the right price range. I would not pay much more than that. They really should be on the lower end. And these are really wines that are meant to drink now. So don't hold on to it. I was reading that you could let them go 5 to 7 months, and I know some people do that. I kind of drink my fill of them in November, December, maybe a little bit into January, but by the end of January, I am done with the Beaujolais Nouveau. All right, so the wine charms I have on this glass is another turkey and a little magnetic arrow that says pick him. And so when I put the two glasses together, it's the arrow is pointing at the other turkey. I thought it was funny. Anyway, so this Beaujolais Nouveau has a little bit more ruby color to it. It's more like purple with some flecks of ruby, but still, it's super young, super purple. Oh wow, interesting. This is so different. Wow. So this is much more on the blueberry notes, much more on the rose petals. Like this is super strong on the rose petals. Also say there's some white pepper happening in here, which really surprises me. I did not get any spiciness on the Georges Dubouef at all. Still getting some of those black cherry notes and a little bit of hint of cranberry, but it's much more herbaceous than the Georges Dubouef. All right, why don't we give it a taste? Cheers. This is so good. Admittedly, I like this one a little bit better because it's not quite so in your face, fruity, kind of bubblegummy. There's a little bit of bubblegumminess happening in the Georges Dubouef. This one doesn't have that. This is a little more, I don't want to say that it's not fruity, but it just doesn't have that kind of jamminess to it that the Georges Dubouef has. Yeah, still, I would say blueberries, some black cherry. There's a little bit of tannin happening. I'm getting a teeny bit of gum pull, but super light. Definitely getting some of that white pepper, some of those rose petals. I would say there's even some violets. There's a lot of floral happening in here, which is nice. And maybe a little bit of black pepper too. Maybe just a hint of that orange zest. Look, both are really nice. Here's what I'll say. Whether you are having turkey or ham or lamb, or you're doing vegetarian and it's mostly sweet potatoes and those sorts of things, the Beaujolais Nouveau is going to be beautiful with it. It has good acidity, so it's going to be able to cut through some of the fattier foods. It's not so bright that it's going to overpower your turkey if you're having turkey. It's friendly, it's drinkable on its own, it's drinkable with food. I think that's part of why I enjoy it. It's festive, it's fun. It does really remind me of the holidays. So I would love to know, did you celebrate Beaujolais Nouveau Day last Thursday? Have you opened up any Beaujolais Nouveau bottles yet? We have 2 more coming. I actually ordered a Magnum from my favorite importer, Kermit Lynch. So I'm excited about that. And then I have a 4th type coming. So we'll see. I'll probably be posting about them on Instagram. So if you're interested in what I think of those, check me out there. It's at Ali77. And as I mentioned, next week I will be doing that Fresco Baldi Rosé that I had promised. So if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. I really appreciate those. If you aren't already a subscriber, you can do that by clicking on the icon right here or on the subscribe button down below. But don't forget, also click on that bell because it will notify you when I upload a new video, which is going to be every Wednesday. And if you are looking for a recommendation, you can find one right there. Thanks for joining. I hope you are staying safe and healthy, and I hope you have a happy Thanksgiving. Happy Wine Wednesday. Cheers.